at Anglesey Abbey, just north of Cambridge, and we're going to be looking at winter garden design and winter planting, and we'll have a look at this garden, we'll have a look at Cambridge Botanics and one or two other gardens in the area and from around this country. And so hopefully you'll get some ideas on how to design a winter garden, make it more interesting, inspiring for yourselves and for other people. Hope you enjoy it. So for a winter garden, you can't beat plants like the Himalayan birch, Betula utilis Jacquemontii. There's also silver shadow, Dorimbossii. There's a whole series. You've got the single stem, a double stem, but I prefer the multi-stem. That really does look good in this area. So a good way to kick off your winter garden. Got Begonia, the lovely sort of purpurescence type. The elephant's ears providing a good sort of understory for these betulas. Mahonia charity with these beautiful sort of racemes of yellow flowers, and the pinnate leaves, holly-like leaves, look great and really good architectural plant for a winter garden. Of course, you have to have a little bit of rubus biflorus, so Cockburnianus is another one, which is two really good stemmed rubus for your winter garden. And next door to it, we've got some winter honeysuckle, which has just gone over. The lovely Viburnum tinus, or Laurustinus used to be called, and that's providing a nice bit of colour into the winter. Unfortunately, a little bit of Viburnum beetle there as well. And then as we go back, we've got a little bit of Daphne Blur, and this one looks a little bit like Jacqueline Postel there. Lovely buds just getting ready to break open. Beautiful sweet scent on the Daphne. Got Cornus sanguinea, midwinter fire, really bright dazzling stems, and when the sun catches it, looks really good. Very beautiful cyclamen coum, those lovely coin-shaped leaves, and you can see the beautiful flowers on it. What a fantastic understory for this. So in this winter garden, we got the Viburnum Bond and Tense Dawn. It's been pruned quite hard, but it has got some nice last year shoots, and they're carrying some flowers, which looks good. And then we're into the Hamamelis, the witch hazel, in full flower here, looking good. And as we spin across, we got Euonymus providing a useful ground cover, and into more Viburnum Bond and Tense Dawn on the left hand side. Nice plants. This is Cortonia Astalactis with the white underside of the leaf, but beautiful sort of corymbs there of berries at this time of the year. Here are the Cortonia Astalactis with this Ilex altoclorensis Golden King. Looks great with the two combined. Here we've got the lovely Arum italicum, this variegated lords and ladies or cuckoo pint, and you can see there's one or two telomeres in there, or tyrillas actually, providing interest, and some hebes. And then of course we go into the lovely salix here. This is Britsensis with this beautifully lovely yellow coloured bark, nice pollarded form. And then we've got some epimedium to the right of it. This is a really nice holly, Ilex pernii, and very upright form, very tight leafed, looks good. You can see just behind it you've got the Viburnum fragrance, and that against a sort of a yew background makes that stand out even more. This is a great way of pruning Mahonia. Notice how if you remove the lower leaves of Mahonia, you get this beautiful furrowed bark, and you can do it on Mahonia, you can do it on Erebiotra, the loquat tree, and it really makes these Mahonias look stunning in this garden. Got the silk tassel bush, the Garrya elliptica, with these lovely tassels coming down, one of David Douglas's that he brought back there from the Oregon in North America. Got the Miscanthus sinensis just finishing flowering, and we've got this beautiful dogwood and cut back in that way it's done really well. It's almost like a pollarded dogwood, but it's worked really well. Miniature dogwood, Kelsey's dwarf, and you can see it forms a little hedge here, leading to these nice upright taxus at the end. Fastigiate taxus. This is Chimananthus Lutea, yellow winter sweet, and it's got a very powerful fragrance. Can smell it really very, very strong at the moment, but lovely plant to have. Again, needs a nice green background to show it off. Cortonia Astalactis contorta, the contorted hazel, provides a really nice little bit of a skeleton framework and habit. Makes that background really interesting. What you can do in a winter garden is to create a sort of a cloud hedge to provide extra interest. And you can see here with this Sarcococa that they're creating the structures in, ready to cut that and create this cloudy effect, and that provides a really nice framework to a garden. You can just sort of cut out the shapes you want, or just follow the shapes of the hedge. This is the strawberry tree, Arbutus unido. It's a lovely tree, lovely evergreen tree, and you can just see there might just be one or two of the old strawberries. There's one there just about hanging on, but it's got a lovely sort of habit there coming up from the base. Lovely begonia underneath it. And then just looking to the right here, we've got some beautiful Bittersporum. We've got the Abbotsbury Gold type and the Tom Thumb, that purple one at the back, which provides some lovely purple colour for this time of the year. And this rubus here is fantastic because when the sun shines across the back of it, the hairs all light up and it looks really stunning. Underneath it you've got the lovely Luzula sylvatica, the woodrush, and a really nice bit of planting here, and you can see the one or two cherry trees just coming into flower, but this looks stunning. So that's rubus. Underplanting here with using carex underneath these hamamelis, leading you then onto the Bittersporum. Now this for a tree, this is the Prunus cerula, the Tibetan cherry, copper bark cherry, with that lovely shiny coppery bark. Fantastic for the winter garden. In this area we've got a lovely area of Stipa. You can see the Stipa tenuissima, or ponytails, looks really good. And just sweeping around here you can see we've got more rubus. There's a snakebark maple, and swinging round we've got some miscanthus, and then into the Prunus cerula, underplanted again with some lovely cornus. Again here we see the use of a beautiful Sarcococa. There's some Sarcococa hookriana digena in here with the slightly purple petiole. We've got Choicia tenata, this is the Sundance Lockinch, and really good planting here. And you can see up the top there we've got a lime tree, a lovely Platyphilus rubra red lime, which shows lovely red buds. Swinging around here we've got these lovely semi-pollarded limes. This is a Platyphilus rubra, lovely red buds. Swinging round you've got a little bit of Mahonia in here. You've got some Salix britsensis dropping down. You can see at the back there you've got Choicia tenata Lockinch group, the Sundance type. You've got Sarcococa hookriana digena. You've got some hellebores, and then up here you've got Aleagnus pungens maculata, a little bit reverted there back to the green, and then down to Sarcococa again here, and then some Mahonia. And then you've got these lovely gates, and of course you mustn't forget about architecture when you're designing winter gardens, because that can really add such a lot of interest with sculptures into your garden. So one of the key elements when you're designing a winter garden, of course, is the addition of sculptures. And here are two fantastic ones at Rufford Abbey, one with the big sort of heart, and you can see something a little bit more sinister there to the left. So here we have a couple of animals which had a great deal of interest, and something special there for children, the use of an owl. And then of course we've got this squirrel, which is a nice one to find. And then back to something a little more arty and unusual, but providing a little bit of mystery and surprise. And then moving on through, we've got another couple at Rufford. A man sitting down on the bench there with the ram on the side, a little bit of humour, and something a little bit more sort of dramatic. And then of course you've got the more contemporary, unusual, and then something that's beautifully framed here with those two urns with the box balls in, and a lovely bit of sculpture there in that courtyard. And then moving on, we've got here the use of box hedging, very clear structure added here in front of that box edge, with lots of snowdrops planted in between. Here we have the beautiful Pruning Mahonia, lovely sort of pinky colours there in the spring. And then moving on, we've got the lovely sort of snowdrops there. And then a lovely winter flowering honeysuckle. There are quite a number. There's Winter Beauty, the Standetii, there's Fragrantissima. So lots of beautiful winter flowering honeysuckles, and a nice Hamamelis there, a nice upright form. And then moving on through to Daphne Blur there, the looks like Jacqueline Postel. It's got the pink in it. And then at Cambridge you've got this beautiful sort of prunus. This looks like the Davidiana type early flowering one, and then there's beautiful sort of pollarded, almost hybrid between coppice and pollarded Britsensis willow. You've got the lovely Garrya Isiquensis at over at Hodstock Priory, and then we have some fantastic Cornus Stolonifera type Flavramere, and then you've got the lovely big snowdrops. This is Galanthus, this is Arnott, a beautiful, really heavy, big snowdrop there. And then that fantastic view, that beautiful meandering path through that winter garden at Cambridge, really is a fantastic perspective there created by the path. And then back to we've got Beginia purpurescens and some Carex, and then a few Cornus alba suburicus tucked in amongst them. But we mustn't forget also the use of ferns and stumperies and things like that. They add a lot of interest to gardens in the winter. And you can see here the use of ivy just trained along a little chain link fence. It just looks like they're holding hands. Really nice structure there. There's some really interesting ideas at Wimpole Estate where they've used stumps and they've banded lots of poles together to make some very interesting features to provide interest in the winter. Let's have a look at them. Yeah. And then going on a bit further, you've got this incredible stumps turned up. It looks like, you know, a big sort of shark or something's dived into the water, or a whale or something, and they look really good, those fan sort of stumps. And this is a little bit more traditional there. Just needs a bit more planting actually, with hellebores and polystichums and euphorbias, and that would start to look really good. And then, of course, don't forget benches and places for people where they can sit, especially if they blend in really well, like this one. This lovely oak type bench there with the doweling looks good. And then one or two herbaceous perennials include Euphorbia mellifera, the honey euphorbia. Here's a nice Acanthus mollis, the bear's breeches, which looks really good. Just adding that little bit of interest to the display. A nice upright form there, the Quercus costeri,
just adding a little bit of interest there, fastigiate interest to the sky. And then we've got the incredible Muhlenbeckia, this sort of wire netting kind of type plant, adding incredible texture to this area. And there you can see the use of Carex and Festucas underneath the Salix, looking good. And really this beautiful Phylostachys there, adding a real splash of colour in the winter garden at Cambridge. Sarcococa to the left, looking good. And then we've got these different sort of rubus idios types, which beautiful burgundy red foliage. And then into another beautiful Hammermollis, one of the lovely sort of pinky ones, the Gelina type ones. And then we've got that lovely Muhlenbeckia looking great in amongst that Luteus sylvatica aurea, that golden field woodrush. And then Phormiums, of course, look great in with the hellebores and the begonias, adding a contrast of shape and form. And you can see there in the background you've got one or two global artichokes, the Cyanura still on, and they add another splash of interest. Here we've got quite a long view here. We've got that beautiful rubus again, that funicularis, and then we've got that lovely Acergricium there, the paperbark maple with beautiful stemmed cornice in the background. And then we've got the lovely Labertia, which has lots of fantastic steely-like colours, and this lovely variegated gold one. And then you've got the lovely mix there of Sarcococa, hellebore and begonia, a brilliant mix for ground cover. And then just moving on here into this incredible Colletia cruciformis, this really spiny foliage plant, adding real interesting texture, and the rubus in front of it. And then we've got some more Chimananthus, and then another shot there of the Gelina with some Phormium.
So this is the winter garden at Broomfield Hall Campus, Derby College. It's one that we started over 20 years ago, and it's been carried on now by the garden volunteers and Sam, the head gardener. And you can see there we have this beautiful Betula utilis as you go into the winter walk. And already on the floor you can see the lovely Arum italicum. There's some nice Euchera, which shows great colour in the autumn. There's a Cornus sanguinea winter flame, and we're just going to have a little look up through here. One or two nice cyclamen looking good, and as we come up through you can see that there are quite a lot of dogwoods, and looking across you can see that we've got the Salix britsensis there. One of the key things when you're designing a winter garden is to have something like a meandering path. It works really well. You can see the path winds its way around, so you're creating elements of surprise as you go down through this winter garden. And as we go through you can see here we've got a little snakebark maple on our right. We've got some lovely Daphnes there, the Odora Oreomarginata. We've got some lovely Bittersporum and some Arum italicum there, that lovely variegated cuckoo pint. Some more Daphnes, and then we've got the Salix britsensis, which looks great when it's pollarded, really stands out well. You can see there's some tip layering of Rubus coburnianus, which spreads really nicely throughout this border, and just to the left of it you can see there's a Tibetan cherry, Prunus cerula, with the copper bark. As we go through we'll go past these lovely Euonymus planipes, and we'll make our way past the lovely Helleborus foetidus down at the right with begonia around it. There's some nice Phylostachys nigra, and one of the key things to do with the Phylostachys nigra is to trim off the lower leaves so you get more stems. It's more interesting. And the same thing with the Phylostachys aureus, or you can use Aureocorlis. There's one or two nice cases left on here on this euonymus, which makes that look really good. And just looking over to the left, I can remember planting these Daphne Blur, Jacqueline Postel and Damon Ridge, and they provide an incredible fragrance as you come through the woodland. And there's a nice Nothovegus here that we planted, which has just a nice habit. Moving through, we've got all sorts from Podocarpus giving us some evergreen interest. There's various Hamamelis throughout this display, and a nice strawberry tree, the Arbutus unido. Making our way through, you can see more dogwoods and more Cornus. This time it's the this is Cornus the stolonifera, which is looking good. And there you go, meandering its way through and out. So a great way to do a winter garden. So hopefully that's given you some ideas on how to create a really inspiring winter garden just by selecting the right trees, shrubs, herbaceous plants, adding a bit of sculpture, a nice meandering path, and not forgetting things like stumperies and ferns to add extra interest. So hopefully you can create something that is going to look really good in the winter months. And plus, of course, you can add some bulbs and lots of other things to keep that flowering period going. See you next time.